Well, we've got the mythical fourth video. If you're seeing this, you're one of the lucky ones because YouTube doesn't send more than 3 notifications in a day, which I understand. But if you wouldn't mind, could you leave a like and maybe a comment on it and consider sharing it on Twitter, Facebook, Gab, Minds, whatever. Try to get the message out there so more people see it. I know people are kind of getting used to just coming back to the channel, checking things throughout the day. So I hope many of you are doing that as well. But last night, I was brought up on a new thread going on with Miss Quinn, who has lamented, who has asked to be, who has said, just leave me alone. Convenient timing. I'm assuming that she must have a new Patreon push, GoFundMe, or a new comic book coming out because it's a ramping up to the victim bucks. Now, I admit, and I've said this publicly on Twitter, and I'm going to say it again here. I will cover the things that Ms. Quinn chooses to do with her career because she is a very public figure. She has more clout and more privilege than most of us could ever dream of. You're talking about somebody who has worked with DC, Marvel, who has the power to end the career and some say lives of fellow indie game developers. But I still think people should just stop spamming her Twitter feed because, and I'm asking that if you're watching this video, you do you, but I do think it's important, one, to not feed into it, and two, she actually makes a decent point. So she puts out Crunch Wrap Burrito looking for those precious likes and retweets. Basically, she's not allowed to tweet. Top reply, okay, murderer. That's a rather cute dog. Hey, do you remember when you drove a man to self-deletion with accusations and zero evidence? Okay. I mean, that's pretty funny. She has like maybe 3 comments on this thread. Murder Rap Burrito, trademark. I'm not saying it's not funny. I'm just saying this will be used against those with legitimate criticisms. So she had enough. And I thought I would point out the utter hypocrisy in her own thread. As if anyone would be surprised. God, the depravity of creeps on here never ceases to chip away at my faith in humanity. Well, it is Twitter. The hypocrisy of flooding my every tweet with constant criticism. I'm not going to use her word because it's criticism. And trying to push me to self-deletion because you blame Alex deletion on me speaking up about my allegations after 8 years of suffering and silence with his other alleged victims who couldn't speak up is just disgusting. Now, here's the thing. In this very tweet where you are asking for some level of compassion, which is ironic, okay, you admit that what happens on Twitter affects some people. It doesn't bother me. It's Twitter. I interact with it. It's an important tool for me to get video ideas and leads, but I don't take it too seriously. Anybody that does probably shouldn't be on Twitter, to be honest with you. Should probably just get rid of your account. Personal responsibility. It's something that's foreign to many, many people. At that point, you're telling yourselves, if you really do think my tweets, which didn't ask for retribution or punishment, were capable of ending someone, you're basically admitting that you're trying to end me with full-on words I don't like. Well, Zoe, see, therein lies the rub. When you put that sort of thing out on Twitter, when you put it out publicly, there is a chain of events that happen that is predictable, that has happened for the past 5 years. You cannot excuse yourself entirely from the consequences. I know by making this video Some of you will go to her Twitter account and give her the business. I prefer you don't. In fact, I'm asking that you don't. But I know some people will. Why? Because I don't control you. You do what you feel is right, and I'm not here to judge you. I would prefer it didn't happen. But I understand why many of you feel that there needs to be a pound of flesh here. Because it is a long history of this type of behavior from Miss Quinn that has led to the culmination in the Alec Holowaka situation. Tragedy, really. And I don't blame people for saying, no, I'm not going to give her a break. In fact, I can even understand it a little bit. They go on to say, and it's bonkers to use me deactivating my account as proof temporarily because I was on deletion watch the last 2 months as proof of guilt. All you're proving is why I had to. Half of these nightmare people can't even spell his name right. Don't tell me you care about him. Look, I don't personally care about him. I didn't know him. I care about ending cancel culture. I care about using the internet to extract certain things. In her case, in the entire movement's case, is unpersoning. Especially when there's no evidence of it. Look, if you have an ironclad case, you should take it to the authorities, not to the internet police. That's been my position since day one. And if you don't have an ironclad case, maybe don't tweet it out to thousands of people. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, you don't have to tweet everything. I'm not going to talk about this again, bull. It's been a heck the last few weeks, and I'm barely functional. Pfft, how's that different? You working on that video game you stole all that money for? Factually? Tens of thousands of dollars raised and zero product delivered? That is not what you call an accusation. That is called a fact. I haven't been able to take care of basic biological needs and stuff. I'm only saying this because of the confusion of well-meaning people in my replies reacting to dog piles. I honestly think that Zoe should probably operate. Here's some advice, like genuine human to human. Look, I don't want anything bad to happen to Zoe Quinn. I don't want anything bad, like capital B, to happen to anybody. Do I take glee in her continued failures? Yes, because I don't think she's a good person. Do I want bad things to happen to her? Of course not. Do I take glee in the continued failures in her professional career? Of course. It's great for business. But I don't want her to hurt herself. I don't want anyone to do that. I wouldn't want Anita Sarkeesian to do that. I wouldn't want McIntosh to do that. I wouldn't want anybody to do that. I may want to disagree with you in a spirited way, which is what I'm doing in this video. But I don't want you to cross that line. And I don't want to have any part in it, which is why I've consistently said in my videos, please do not contact these people. We can have a conversation here. Because let's be honest, she's just going to turn around and use these replies to generate money. Not being reckless, I'm not going to be made an example of to discourage people from getting themselves out of bad situations. If you need to hear it, it's not up to the victim of this situation to be the vanguard for their rehabilitation. Rehabilitation is key, but it's someone else's job. True, Miss Quinn. But you also bear some responsibility in floating out this time. Did you have to put that online? You knew the way the dominoes were going to fall when you made those claims. Now, if they were all true, why didn't you just leave him how many years ago? Why didn't you go to the police? Why didn't you just chalk it up to a bad relationship like most of us do? Most people watching my video have been cheated on. They've been in a bad relationship, but we don't put it all out on the internet. That is a conscious decision that somebody does for some form of attention. Look, I get the irony. I'm a YouTuber. I didn't have to make this video either. In a way, do I bear some guilt for people taking a tour? Not really. I'm very clear that I'm on Twitter and on YouTube that I don't want people to do that. That doesn't mean that she gets to avoid any criticism. That doesn't mean that I won't bring it up when it's relevant. Not being reckless with anyone's safety is important to rehabilitation too. So not so is understanding that you may not know all the options a survivor has available. How many they've tried, how many they've failed. Often there's not going to be a clean solution. I agree. Grace and mercy are in short supply. Like you've been doling out a lot of it. But they're exactly what third parties have had over the people in any dynamic. People have been taken advantage of, blah, 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 blah. And if you really want me gone, stop giving me a reason to live out of spite. No, nobody really wants you gone. If you really do want that, you've got to probably do a little re-examination. I could understand maybe even wanting some sort of criminal charges, an example in that aspect, right? Knowingly setting off a sequence of events maybe should bear. It'd probably be an impossible case to prove. But all these people who have ended careers, look at Jeremy Piven, had his career ended on baseless accusations. Look what they tried to do to Chris Hardwick. And look what happened to Alec. Even in situations where this information was relevant or true, does it have to be put out on Twitter? Do I need to go back to my ex from 10 years ago and talk about the terrible things they did and set off a chain of events where people are endlessly piling on her? No, I don't need to do that. And neither did Zoe. That didn't stop her. So that won't stop all the people from reminding you of what they think you did. That is part of the equation. You don't get to just ignore your critics and discredit all of them by saying it's harassment. It doesn't work that way. You're a public figure. You put it out there. Look, I've got people in my mentions all the time. I've had people get my wife's phone number and contact her on Christmas Day to say she's married to one of the bad guys from WW2. I don't care about those losers. If somebody has legitimate criticisms to bring upon me, I listen to that. I consider it. This is not that. This is somebody setting off a chain of events and then not expecting any blowback from it. This is somebody who has never made anything right in their life. If you want people to stop bringing up your Kickstarter scam, make it right. Finish the game or give people their money back. Or at worst, admit defeat. Look, I had a Game Finder app that was crowdfunded and it failed. Not everything you do in life is a success, but I addressed it. It's called personal responsibility. It's something a lot of youths, a lot of millennials have no idea of because they were never asked to do it. They were never held to that standard as a child. Something that I assume Zoe wasn't either. A damaged person who will constantly be told that they're damaged until they start making things right. I bet you if I look at Anita's feed, it's nowhere near as bad. You either address it or you move on. But Zoe doesn't get to have her cake and eat it too. You don't get to call down the entire gaming industry on one dude and then act like you had no idea that this would happen. Especially when you've done it to other people yourself. I'm sorry, Zoe, that you are having a hard time getting on. At least you get to wake up every day.